Shalom, shalom, shalom. This is Judah Nick with Awaken Israel, and today we're going to be continuing the second Samuel's, and we're going to be going through chapters 4 and 6. And yeah, hopefully it's the Father's will that is edifying to someone, even if it's just one soul, man. And hopefully, yeah, I already said it. Let's get into it. So, when Saul's son heard that Abner was dead in Hebron, his hands were feeble, and all the Israelites were troubled. And Saul's son had two men that were captains of bands. The name of one was Banah, and the name of other Rechab. The sons of Rimmon, a Beerothite of the children of Benjamin. For Beeroth also was reckoned to Benjamin. And the Beerothites fled to Gittim and were sojourners there until this day. And Jonathan, Saul's son, had a son that was lame of his feet. He was 5 years old when the tidings came of Saul and Jonathan out of Jezreel, and his nurse took him up, and he fled. And it came to pass, as she made haste to flee, that he fell and became lame. And his name was Mephibosheth. Like if I'm butchering the name, Slakia. And the sons of Rimmon, the Beerothite, Rechab and Banah, went and came about the heat of the day to the house of Ishbosh, who lay on a bed at noon. And they came hither into the midst of the house, as though they would have fetched wheat, and they smote him under the 5th rib. And Rechab and Banah his brother escaped. But when they came into the house, he lay on his bed in his bedchamber, and they smote him, and slew him, and beheaded him, and took his head, and got them away through the plain all night. So they assassinated him. And they brought the head of Ishbosheth unto David to Hebron, and said to the king, Behold, the head of Ishbosh, it's like I'm butchering names, the son of Saul, thine enemy, which thou sought thy life, and the Lord have avenged my lord the king this day of Saul, and of his seed. And David answered Rechab and Banah his brother, the sons of Rimmon and Beerothite. Okay, let's continue. Didn't David promise that he wouldn't kill Saul's seed? I'm pretty sure he said that in 1 Samuel's. But let's see. And said unto them, As the Lord liveth, who have redeemed my soul out of all adversary, when one told me, saying, Behold, Saul is dead, thinking to have brought good tidings, I took hold of him and slew him in Ziklag, who thought that I would have given him a reward for his tidings. How much more, when wicked men have slain a righteous person in his own house upon his bed, shall I not therefore now require his blood of your hand, and take you away from the earth? And David commended his young men, and they slew them, and cut off their heads and their feet, and hanged them up over the pool in Hebron. But they took the head of Ishbosheth and buried it in the sepulchre of Abner in Hebron. Okay, so it looks like David avenged Saul's seed. Alright, let's continue. Chapter 5. Then came all the tribes of Israel to David unto Hebron, and spake, saying, Behold, we are thy bone and thy flesh. Also in times past, when Saul was king over us, thou was he that led us out and brought us in Israel. And the Lord said to thee, Thou shalt feed my people Israel, and thou shalt be a captain over Israel. So all the elders of Israel came to the king, came to the king to Hebron. And David made a league with them in Hebron before the Lord. And they anointed David king over Israel. David was 30 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 40 years old. He reigned 40 years. Wow. So 70, he stopped reigning at 70 years old. Okay. We know 7 falls into the number of completion, so interesting. In Hebron, he reigned over Judah 7 years and 6 months, and in Jerusalem, he reigned 30 and 3 years over all Israel and Judah. And the king and his men went to Jerusalem unto the Jebusites and the inhabitants of the land, which spake unto David, saying, Except thou take the blind and the lame, thou shalt not come in hither, thinking David cannot come in hither. Nevertheless, David took the stronghold of Zion, the same is the city of David. And David said on that day, Whosoever getteth up to the gutter and smiteth the Jebusites, and the lame and the blind that are hated of David's soul, he shall be chief and captain. Wherefore they said, The blind and the lame shall not come into the house. So David dwelt in the fort and called it the city of David. And David built round about for a mile and inward. And David went on and grew great, and the Lord God of hosts was with him. So, if anybody doesn't know, host means armies, and this is also mentioned way back in Exodus. Because Abba says, Heavenly Father says he's the Lord of hosts, right? So he's the Lord of hosts also in Exodus. So when he was slaying all those, Egyptians for us, he was a lion. Still ain't lying to this day. So let's continue. And Hiram, king of Tyre, sent messengers to David, and cedar trees, and carpenters, and masons, and they built David a house. And David perceived that the Lord had established him king over Israel, and that he had exalted his kingdom for his people Israel's sake. And David took him more concubines and wives out of Jerusalem, after he was come from Hebron, and there were yet sons and daughters born to David. And these be the names of those that were born unto him in Jerusalem: Shemua, and Shobab, and Nathan, and Solomon. Ibhar also, and Elishu, I can remember your name, Elishua, and Nephag, and Japhia, and Elishama, and Elida, and Eliphiat. Fuck it, man. Fuck yeah. But when the Philistines heard that they had anointed David king over Israel, all the Philistines came up to seek David, and David heard of it, Slakia, and went down to the hold. The Philistines also came and spread themselves in the valley of Rephaim. And David inquired of the Lord, saying, Shall I go up to the Philistines? Wilt thou deliver them into my hand? And the Lord said unto David, Go up, for I will doubtless deliver the Philistines into thine hand. And David came to Baal Perazim, and David smote them there, and said, The Lord have broken forth on my enemies before me, as the breach of waters. Therefore he called the name of that place Baal Perazim. And there they left their images, and David and his men burnt them. So I'm pretty sure when it's talking about images, it's talking about their idols, right? So let's see. 86091 verse 21. Idol, yep. Outline of biblical uses, idol. Yep. Perfect. Let's continue. So as you guys know, the Father hates these idols that the heathens have and their fake gods and stuff. That's why he always tell us to burn them whenever we get rid of the people around who had them. So let's continue. And the Philistines came up yet again and spread themselves in the valley of Rephaim. And when David inquired of the Lord, he said, Thou shalt not go up, but fetch a compass behind them, and come upon them over against the mulberry trees. And let it be, when thou hearest the sounds of a going in the tops of the mulberry trees, that then thou shalt bestir thyself, for then shall the Lord go out before thee to smite the host of the Philistines. And David did so as the Lord commanded him, and smote the Philistines from Geba until thou come to Gaza. Let's go into chapter 6, all praises. Again, David gathered together all the chosen men of Israel, 30,000. And David arose and went with all the people that were with him from Beli of Judah to bring up from thence the ark of God, whose name is called by the name of the Lord of hosts, that dwelleth between the cherubims. And they set the ark of God upon a new cart and brought it out of the house of Abinadab that was in Gibeah, and Uzzah and Ahio, the sons of Abinadab, drew the new cart, and they bore it out of the house of Abinadab, which was at Geba, accompanying the ark of God. And Ahio went before the ark. And David and all the house of Israel played before the Lord on all manner of instruments made of fir wood, even on the harps and on psalteries, and on timbrels, and on cornets, and on cymbals. And when they came to Nashon threshing floor, Uzzah put forth his hand to the ark of God, and took hold of it, for the oxen shook it. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Uzzah, and God smote him there for his error. And there he died by the ark of God. So I'm not entirely sure, but if you guys don't know, I believe the only one who could be in the midst and touch the ark of the covenant was the Levites, I believe. So this is why he died. He broke a commandment that was way back. So there you go. I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was only Levites who could touch the ark of the covenant and stuff. But hey, let's continue. Verse 8. And David was displeased because the Lord had made a breach upon Uzzah, and he called the name of the place Peruzuzah to this day. And David was afraid of the Lord that day, and said, how shall the ark of the Lord come to me? So David would not move the ark of the Lord unto him into the city of David, but David carried it aside into the house of Abinadab the Gittite. And the ark of the Lord continued in the house of Abinadab the Gittite 3 months, and the Lord blessed Abinadab and all his household. And it was so, and it was told King David, saying, the Lord has blessed the house of Abinadab and all that pertaineth unto him because of the ark of God. So David went and brought up the ark of God from the house of Abinadab into the city of David with gladness. And it was so that when they that bare the ark of the Lord had gone 6 paces, he sacrificed oxen and fatlings. And David danced before the Lord with all his might, and David was girded with a linen ephod. So David and all the house of Israel brought up the ark of the Lord with shouting and with the sound of a trumpet. And the ark, and as the ark of the Lord came into the city of David, Michal, Saul's daughter, looked through a window and saw King David leaping and dancing before the Lord, and she despised him in her heart. And they brought in the ark of the Lord and set it in his place in the midst of the tabernacle that David had pitched for it. And David offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before the Lord. And as soon as David had made an end of the burnt offerings and peace offerings, he blessed the people in the name of the Lord of hosts, in the name of the Lord of armies, also known as. Verse 19. And he dealt among all the people, even among the whole multitude of Israel, as well to the women as men, to everyone a cake of bread and a good piece of flesh and a flagon of wine. So all the people departed, everyone to his house. Then David returned to bless his household, and Michal, the daughter of Saul, came out to meet David and said, "How glorious was the king of Israel today, who uncovered himself today in the eyes of the handmaids of his servants, as one of the vain fellows shamelessly uncovered himself." And David said unto Michal, "It was before the Lord which chose me before thy father and before all his house to appoint me ruler over the people of Israel. Therefore I will play before the Lord, and I will yet be more vile than thus, and I will be base in my own sight. And the maid servants which thou hast spoken of them shall I be had in honor." Therefore Michal, the daughter of Saul, had no such child unto the day of her death. So the father closed up her womb. And if you want to get the context of this, I'm pretty sure David was dancing with his meat out, basically. I'm trying to say this in the best way. Let's see verse 20. Verse 20. Let's see another translation. Let me see NLT, chapter 6, verse 20, 2 Samuel's. And when David had returned from home, he came to bless his own family. Michal, the daughter of Saul, came out to meet him. She said in disgust, "How distinguished the king of Israel looked today, shamelessly exposing himself to the servant girls like a vulgar person might do." Yeah, I'm pretty sure he, his meat came out while he was dancing or something. And verse 22, "Yes, I am willing to look even more foolish than this, even to be humbled in my own eyes. But those servant girls you mentioned will indeed think I am distinguished." So, yeah, man. Yeah, he had his meat out while he was dancing. But he didn't care, man. He was just enjoying himself. But hey, and so Michal, Saul's daughter, was upset about this. But he was saying the handmaids basically will think David's the guy, man. Because, he's... I ain't gonna stay too much on this topic. But y'all get it, man. But hey, man, all praise to Yahweh Hashem Yashai. Hopefully this is edifying. Hopefully this was beneficial to someone in some way. And I hope y'all have a great Sabbath, as today is the Sabbath, I believe. And shalom, shalom, shalom.